there has been a an overlap, let's just say, in some left-wing talkers and right-wing talkers kind of trying to meet in the middle in a kind of like anti-Orban style state, if anybody watched the Tucker Carlson stuff this week. And in understanding that the right wing itself is getting increasingly fringe, and the fringes are kind of like, while they battle each other regularly, they, there tends to be a lot of horseshoe theory, and, that ultimately they agree on a lot of the same stuff. They both like a lot of government spending on certain things. They just, some want it in the form of corporate subsidies, and others want it in the form of, ultimate debt forgiveness of everything, and both of them, once they start overlapping, they can go, well, if it costs a few people, I mean, is it really a problem? I mean, you can't make an omelet without letting some people die of natural causes, is the idea, and there has been a bunch of that, especially around sort of the talk about COVID and the like, and there, Johnny's back, there he is. I was just mentioning, Johnny, that there's a lot of overlap. Yes, there's a lot of overlap, right wing to hyper right wing to hyper left wing. Mainly the part they agree on the most is that, look, some people are just gonna die. And, I mean, aren't we just prolonging the inevitable at a certain point? And if they have to do it because we want Medicare for all turned on like a switch, or they have to do it because, COVID's not a big deal. Ultimately, those are just jobs opening up. Because, one of the things that we have to recognize over the last year, especially, and the clamoring right now in the business world, is how hard it is to fill some jobs, right? Right now. There's a bunch of, they're having trouble hiring people. Never mind the fact that it's very possible that a member of their staff or somebody they did employ or would have employed is dead. And because, remember, COVID wasn't the only thing that killed people last year. It's just the excess death that stacked on top of what was a slightly diminished number because everybody stayed at home. So there were fewer Instagram models falling off cliffs, to stack up, which is apparently now, it's going to, according to me, it's an epidemic. I'm just going to go.
It is. It's like quicksand.
We got to do something. No, it's all right. It's everywhere the minute you hear about it, and then you forget about it. Mm-hmm. But 600,000 plus 629,000 rough number. We'd have to check the card in Biden's pocket daily to see what the actual number is. But those folks dying, and the members of their immediate family or their loved ones who are not going back to work right now because they're the holdouts about going back to their service job or going back to a crowded workspace, especially with the Delta variant passing. The 600,000, there is an augmentation to that crowd that adds at least one other person, if not 10 other people, who don't feel like going back to their place of work right now because they knew someone personally, was in a relationship with, or were the son, daughter, brother, sister, mother, father of that person who died, who might not be in a big hurry to wait tables at a Cracker Barrel in a red state that's having a Delta variant jump right now. And that there's occasional moments when you can look at the statistical averaging on something and you could see the number. You could see how many people are out of work in what areas, and the delay in vaccinations, the delay in people going back to work, the people staying using the expanded unemployment insurance or rental assistance because they are deathly afraid because of their personal experience to go back to work, to go back to their place of business. Because they know they're in a lot of these red states especially, which is, and you look at the national numbers, can we not pretend that the national numbers are slanted entirely into the red states right now? Because if they were slanted into the blue states, that's where all the people are, and it would be a much bigger number.
Seriously, the list is so damning.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
And
yeah.
And yet you've got right now, and I'm gonna see if I can find it again. Ron DeSantis is trending on Twitter because Florida has 22,783 new cases, 199 new deaths, more than double the next state over. Texas has 78, which again, we're getting as a nation a handle on what the best outcomes for people. The number of deaths are going down largely because of the number of vaccinated people. This is if the population, the unvaccinated population of this country was its own country, the death rate per capita in Unvakistan would be the worst in the world. And the leaders of that country, which would be Abbott and DeSantis and that crowd, would be proudly shaking their fist at the world, saying we don't have like Khrushchev's doctors shaking their we don't even have the sniffles, and the dude's already dead, right? Texas 78 deaths in the last week, I believe. 15,000 new cases though, and we know that the deaths often lag the case spikes by a few weeks because the cases spike, it starts to spread. The people who are going to die from it or have a really bad outcome, because that's the other number that we're not seeing in a lot of these states that they're not paying attention to, and is the people who are scarred for life because of this. Long haul COVID.
That's going to be amazing in the next 10, 15 years, figuring out the long-term effects about people who got this really bad. I know super healthy people who have lingering heart problems and are just now getting the green light to be able to exercise again after having COVID. And this is before they were eligible to get the vaccine. They weren't anti-vaxxers at all.
Yeah, it just caught up with them because or the worst, they were essential workers. Because look at, I would have to check, and I will during the break because we're got to take a break in a minute. But the number of first responders we as a country have lost: doctors, nurses, cops, firemen, EMTs, who have died because of COVID exposure early on, before there was a possibility for a vaccine, or who caught it in the middle of getting their vaccination when it was, when they were the first people on the list and still, right as they're about to get it, caught the disease and ended up passing from it. The ripple effect of a death, and I know this from personal experience. A lot of people listening to the show, know this from personal experience. The grief alone of losing a loved one or a friend or a coworker has an impact that rolls throughout your whole life for a time, at least, until you find some semblance. And some people never do. So the scars about 629,000 people dead that's a deep one in this country and worldwide that will go, that will be felt every time we run our hand over that skin for the rest of our lives. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Park Radio program, Mega Worldwide. We are taking calls next hour, 773-763-9278.